So yeah, if you're an Aces fan, this is not looking good. This is not looking good at all if you're a fan of the Los Angeles Lakers, because it is looking like Kelsey Plum is probably going to be gone from the Las Vegas Aces.
Get ready for big news from the WNBA. The Las Vegas Aces, last year's champions, are facing a major shakeup. Kelsey Plum is leaving the team. That's right, one of their brightest stars is moving on. You're probably wondering, what does this mean for the Aces? Well, it's a move that could change everything. Kelsey's departure is sending shockwaves through the league, and it's hard to say how the team will recover from this. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.
A couple of years. She's a two-time WNBA champion, a three-time consecutive All-Star, an All-Star Game MVP, which, remember that tiny little trophy. She's won a Commissioner's Cup. She's one of the most known players in women's basketball, and a lot of that has come from the Aces, because yeah, she had the college hype, but with how poor she was to start her WNBA career, like that kind of would have gone very quickly.
Can you believe it? It's like an earthquake just hit the WNBA, and the epicenter is Las Vegas. Let's take a step back. Kelsey Plum wasn't just another player. She was the heart of the Aces championship run, an all-star powerhouse who drove the team to glory. She was unstoppable. But now, everything's changed. Word is, Plum turned down a contract extension, and the team is left scrambling to figure out what's next. The Aces are in uncharted territory, and the league is buzzing with questions.
It does seem like the most likely scenario is that Kelsey Plum would move on from the Aces. You know, you mentioned that she did not sign an extension, and former general manager Natalie Williams told me before she and the Aces parted ways that, you know, Kelsey was offered an extension and declined.
So, what's behind this surprising decision? It turns out it's not just about basketball. Reports suggest Kelsey Plum is dealing with personal challenges and feels the need to step back and reassess. She's at a turning point, and unfortunately for the Aces, they're caught in the middle of it all. Now, the team's leadership is in overdrive, trying to figure out how to keep their star from slipping away. You can almost imagine the front office scrambling, endless phone calls, meetings, and backup plans as they race to find a solution before the team's foundation starts to crumble.
If you lose Kelsey Plum, you've got a big two and a super high IQ point guard who's still pretty good at their position. But then you've got Kia Stokes and Meg Gustafson as your next best player.
It's like watching a high-stakes poker game, and the Aces just lost their trump card. But here's the kicker. The once strong bond between Kelsey Plum and the team is starting to crack. The tension is undeniable, and things are getting heated. The Aces are doing everything they can to hold on to her, but Plum seems to be looking ahead, with one foot already out the door. This is turning into a drama no one saw coming.
But this is not a good look for the Aces. This is not a good look for the Aces. This is just not good for the Aces. It's really not. And look, obviously it's not for basketball. Kelsey Plum, just like again with the Kelsey Mitchell situation with the Fever, if Kelsey Plum leaves, the Aces not for basketball.
You know what this feels like? It's like your closest friend dropping the bombshell that they're moving away. You're left shocked, hurt, and questioning everything. That's exactly where the Aces are now, scrambling to figure out what went wrong. And here's the thing. Plum's departure isn't just about losing a player. It's like pulling the cornerstone out of a building. She's been the driving force behind their success. And without her, the team's entire dynamic is in jeopardy. Now, you might think, they're still a strong team, right? But here's the reality. This is bigger than just losing a star. It's like the heartbeat of the Aces has stopped, and they're in serious trouble. Without Plum, a total reset might be their only option.
So, if you're the Aces, this is like your last hope. If you want to try run it back and maybe win 3 out of 4, your last hope, even to be a contender, I'm sorry, as good, A'ja Wilson's great, as good as A'ja Wilson is. A'ja Wilson is not good enough to beat this version of the Liberty, the Lynx, by herself.
Let's break it down. Kelsey Plum wasn't just part of the team, she was the engine driving the Aces' success. Without her, who's going to take charge in those clutch moments? Who's going to drain the game-winning threes when the pressure's on? It's not just about her stats, it's about the leadership, intensity, and spark she brought every time she stepped on the court. And here's the hard truth. You can't Replace that kind of presence overnight.
With the way the Aces played, she was very streaky as a scorer. Like, she might have the odd 30-point game, and she might have a game where she'd score 3 points at halftime and end up with 23. Like, that's just the type of player that she was.
You might be wondering, what about Chelsea Gray? Can't she step up? Well, here's the catch. Gray is still recovering from an injury, and she's not quite the player she used to be. Reports suggest her speed has slowed and her impact on the court just isn't at the same level. That adds another layer of difficulty for the Aces, making their situation even more challenging.
They were a big four that became a big three last year with Chelsea Gray's regression post-injury, and Chelsea Gray's not going to get healthier. Like, I've been watching her in Unrivaled, she's still struggling to run, and the problem is like, mechanically, Chelsea Gray has always kind of struggled to run ever since college. She's after getting another injury now, though, which has zapped any of the speed. She's obviously not someone that overly relies on speed, but like, you cannot argue that Chelsea Gray, what we saw last year, was a top anything point guard.
This puts Aja Wilson in a tough spot. Can you imagine the pressure she's under? With Plum gone and Gray not at full strength, Wilson is now the cornerstone of the team. She'll have to deliver MVP-level performances night after night just to keep the Aces competitive. But here's the tough reality. Even if Wilson starts dropping 30 points a game, it might still not be enough to fill the massive void left behind.
There's zero. Like, it maybe increases the chance that Aja Wilson wins an MVP. Aja Wilson could have freaking 30 a game. Like, she could go without Kelsey Plum, with Chelsea Gray playing the whole season. She could average 30 for all we know.
The situation around Aja Wilson is getting even tougher. The team is aging, and unfortunately, they just don't have the depth to compete at the top level anymore. Even crazier, some experts are saying that without Kelsey Plum, the Aces' chances of winning a championship in 2025 have practically vanished. 0. Can you believe that? It's like watching a dynasty crumble in real time. 1 minute, they're dominating the league, and the next, they're struggling to keep their place in the conversation.
No one, you can't argue that Aja Wilson is not at worst the fourth, like the third best player in the W, and probably the best. So they're still going to be decent, but losing Kelsey Plum basically means, yeah, they've got no chance. They've got no chance of doing anything next season.
But hold on, it gets worse. The Aces are so desperate right now that they're actually considering trading Plum for players who just can't compare to her. It's like trying to trade a Ferrari for a bicycle. It doesn't make sense. The desperation is palpable. The Aces are scrambling, trying anything to save their season. And their latest moves? Well, they're so out there, it almost feels like they've lost touch with reality. Remember when we said their championship hopes were slipping away? Well, now they're diving headfirst into even bigger trouble. Let's take a closer look at the Aces' frantic search for a replacement. First, on the list, Kelsey Mitchell from the Indiana Fever. You might think, a Kelsey for Kelsey swap doesn't sound so bad, but here's the twist. Mitchell isn't budging.
Yeah, it's kind of their last hope. Their last hope really is that Kelsey Mitchell asks out from the Indiana Fever, which is unlikely, which is really, really unlikely. And I think of teams pursuing this, I think this is something the Aces should try to pursue if Kelsey Mitchell wants to leave. But at the end of the day, the Fever would be idiots to say yes to this, especially right now.
Mitchell, she's loving life in Indiana and fits perfectly into their system. Trying to pull her away would be like trying to get a cat to play with a cucumber. It's just not happening. So, what's the backup plan? Hold on, because this is where things get really crazy. The Aces are so desperate, they're actually considering trading Plum for players like Steph Talbot or Kayla Thornton. Yes, you read that. Correctly, they're looking at role players and bench players as potential replacements. It's a huge gamble, and it could backfire in a big way.
If you're going to the Valkyries, again, you're getting Kayla Thornton. You're not even going to get Kayla Thornton 5. They're not going to give up that. You're probably getting Kayla Thornton and like Steph Talbot, which is, again, makes gives your team a little bit more depth, but like suddenly Kayla Thornton is your small forward and you're looking to win a ring replacing Kelsey Plum with Kayla Thornton. That's not going to happen either.
Can you believe it? The Aces are essentially trying to replace a Ferrari with a couple of bicycles. Sure, players like Steph Talbot and Kayla Thornton are decent, but they're nowhere near the level of Kelsey Plum in terms of skill and impact. But here's the real kicker. The Aces are running out of options fast. Time's slipping away, and with each passing day, they're getting closer to a total collapse. So why do their trade options look so bleak? It's simple. There's no one out there who can match Plum's unique combination of skill, leadership, and chemistry on the court. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack, but the needle's actually a unicorn.
If you're looking at trade packages, the Sparks can offer nothing to the Aces. They can offer nothing of note because they're not giving Rickea Jackson, they're not giving number 2, and they're not giving Cameron Brink. So, and obviously DR Gamby's not going back to Vegas. So if you're looking, you want to send her to the Sparks, if you're the Aces, you're getting Steph Talbot's even gone. So who are you even getting? Like, take Lee Yarou as a backup center, and I don't even know.
The Aces' desperate moves are painting a clear picture. They're in serious trouble. Trading a superstar like Plum for role players, it's like trying to patch a sinking ship with Band-Aids. It might slow the leak temporarily, but it won't stop the flood. The team that once seemed unbeatable is now just trying to stay afloat. Now, you might be thinking, okay, they're in a tough spot, but they still have some fight left, right? Well, hold on tight, because we're about to show you why this isn't just a rough patch. It could be the beginning of the end. Remember when the Aces were on top of the world? Those days might be gone before you know it.